How would you like $225? Indiana's governor is proposing another direct payment to Hoosier taxpayers to provide inflation relief. The governor's office says after a higher than expected revenue performance this fiscal year, the governor is proposing returning $1 billion to taxpayers. Each taxpayer would collect about $225. That's in addition to the one-time direct payment of $125 Hoosiers recently received. The proposal would still need to be approved by the state legislature. The governor says he's committed to working with legislative leaders to call a special session before the end of the month to take action. But will the governor's plan provide the relief we need? Well, earlier today, I spoke to Kyle Anderson, Associate Professor of Business Economics at the Kelley School of Business at IUPUI. Professor Kyle Anderson, thank you so much for joining us today. The governor's direct payment program proposes $225 returned to each taxpayer. That's $1 billion of state surplus money in total. Is this the best way to provide relief from inflation?
I think it's a pretty good way. I mean, it's limited. The households are feeling the effects of inflation in a lot of ways right now, and that may not be enough to offset everything, but it's certainly going to help.
Now, the governor chose this direct payment over suspending the gas tax. A lot of people have been calling for that. Now, he calls suspension of a gas tax an inefficient way to provide relief, and I believe he's referring to the fact that he thinks that more out-of-state people might get that relief instead of Hoosiers. Do you agree with that?
I do agree with that. There's the out-of-state part of it. Also, we know that when gas taxes get cut, not all of it gets passed on to consumers. So it's some of that benefit goes to the oil companies, the distributors, and the gas stations, and that's really not the best source of taxpayer money right now.
Interesting. Okay. Now, could Indiana do both, direct payment like that and suspend at least some of the gas tax?
I mean, sure they could. But I think the governor's point is right. It's inefficient, and it's really not the best way to provide relief. Really, from an economist perspective, what we'd like to see is cash in people's hands and let them decide how to spend it.
Now, you know, $6 billion is quite a bit of a surplus, and the inflation doesn't look like it's going to go away quickly anytime soon. Could Indiana offer more payments down the road for inflation relief?
I think it's possible that they could. I think the thing to think about is we have a surplus right now because the economy is growing fast and things are really pretty good right now other than inflation. But inflation is going to hit the state as well. And so spending is going to have to increase next year because the cost of everything is going up, and that includes what the state services that they provide are.
Well, again, you know, $6 billion is a lot. Is it too high? Would it make sense for Indiana to simply just reduce taxes to provide relief for people?
Well, the problem with a tax cut that's permanent is then if things slow down in the economy and tax receipts go down, then it's a lot harder to raise taxes at that point. So I kind of like the temporary nature of this and then thinking about long-term how to deal with surpluses.
So how to deal with surpluses, that goes to my next question here. What does this say about the economy, and should this money, as surplus money, be going toward existing issues like infrastructure, schools and roads, things like that?
I certainly think it could, and it would be beneficial to do that. I think this small amount of relief is probably helpful to families, a lot of families that are struggling right now, but over the long term, we know that Indiana's challenges are not just in terms of taxes. We're a relatively low tax state. We need bigger investment in infrastructure and education. So the bulk of that surplus going forward, I would rather see invested for our future.
So when you have a surplus, taking all that in mind, when you have a surplus, how do you decide when to release some of those funds and when to hold on to them?
Those are largely political decisions, right? That's what we send our legislature to decide. The challenge right now for the governor and for legislators is that there's not a lot that they can do about inflation, but they don't want to be seen as sitting idly by while Indiana families are suffering. So they want to take some steps to provide relief, but there's not a whole lot that they can do to bring down the prices of gas or food or other goods and services.
If there's not a whole lot they can do about inflation, is there anything that can be done? What's the answer to our high inflation right now?
So A lot of it is just about time. Obviously, for gas prices, there's a seasonal effect. Summer is really when we have the highest prices. We're hoping to see more global production of oil that would help bring down the price. So I think some of those things are going to come down over time. A lot of this relates to the supply chain issues that we've been dealing with for the last couple of years now. Again, I think these are going to work themselves out. They're just not political problems that can be solved immediately, but that's what voters want.
It's just going to take some time. All right. Well, Professor Kyle Anderson at the Kelley School of Business at IUPUI, thanks so much for explaining some of this to us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we want to hear from our Hoosier viewers on this topic. Which option would you prefer, the direct payment or suspension of state gas tax? Head over to our Eyewitness News website, tristatehomepage.com. Click on the story about the governor's plan and let us know how you feel.